30 retro products that failed to change the world. We were promised a future of jetpacks, robot maids, and miracle gadgets. Instead, we got inventions that ranged from brilliant to downright bizarre. And between the 1950s and early 90s, America chased bold ideas. TV ads promised breakthroughs, magazines hyped miracle devices, and kids dreamed of living like the Jetsons. Today, we're looking back at gadgets that promised the world, but crashed hard on delivery. Floby. In those years brimming with innovation, a device called Floby emerged, promising to revolutionize home haircuts. It was heavily advertised on television channels as a convenient solution, saving you hundreds of dollars on haircuts by allowing you to do everything yourself right in your bathroom. The commercial painted an appealing picture of anyone easily trimming their hair perfectly, as if this vacuum attachment for your existing vacuum cleaner was magic. However, reality was much harsher than the glamorous advertisements. Unless you possessed dexterous hands and incredible precision like a surgeon, the result of using Floby was often a patchy haircut, looking as if it had been cut with a lawnmower. And of course, professional hairdressers were busier than ever fixing the mistakes Floby left behind. Floby created a generation with crooked bangs, uneven trims, and family photos no one wanted to remember. Sinclair C5. In 1985, a compact electric tricycle named the Sinclair C5 appeared, promising to revolutionize urban transport. It was advertised as an environmentally friendly personal vehicle, a safe, reliable, and pollution-free alternative to cars and bicycles. The vision was to create a lightweight electric personal mobility device, ideal for short trips within the city. With a top speed of only about 24 kilometers per hour, 15 miles per hour, it was too slow to move efficiently in urban traffic. The seating position was so low that the rider was almost invisible to other vehicles, creating a high risk of unsafety, especially at intersections. Furthermore, the C5's open design offered no protection from the weather, making it impractical in rainy or windy conditions. The joystick steering system near the rider's knees was also considered unintuitive by many. Even worse, it launched into a world not yet truly ready for electric transportation. Clareral touch of yogurt shampoo. The 70s were a period when natural trends were strongly on the rise. Against this backdrop, the Clareral brand introduced an idea that sounded bold but lacked consideration: combining yogurt with shampoo. The promise was to deliver an all-natural hair care product, exactly what consumers were looking for. Who would have thought that applying yogurt to one's head wouldn't be as refreshing as imagined? And reality proved that this idea was a literal yogurt disaster. Consumers were completely bewildered. The product's scent was also a major issue. The smell of spoiled yogurt and wet dog was not something you wanted on your hair. The product packaging, which looked more like a yogurt parfait than a personal care product, further added to the confusion. Product critics ridiculed it endlessly. Clareral touch of yogurt shampoo was quickly pulled from shelves. This product went down in history as a classic cautionary tale of trying to chase a trend too far while forgetting common sense. Betamax. Before DVDs dominated the market and Blu-ray took over, the first home video format war raged fiercely between Betamax and VHS. Betamax, introduced by Sony in the US 6 months after its Japan launch, boasted sharper video quality and better audio than its competitor. Betamax cassettes were 6 inches wide, significantly smaller and lighter than VHS tapes. Initially, it garnered attention with its home recording capabilities, promising users unprecedented convenience to record and watch what they wanted, whenever they wanted. Technically, Betamax was indeed superior to VHS. However, Sony made a fatal mistake. Betamax tapes had shorter recording times. In this format war, recording duration per tape was an extremely critical factor for consumers. They prioritized the convenience of having more minutes of recording on a single tape over Betamax's superior picture and sound quality. Additionally, Sony restricted licensing for Betamax technology, which significantly limited its market reach. Meanwhile, the VHS format was embraced by many different manufacturers, allowing it to quickly flood shelves and dominate the market due to sheer volume. By the 90s, Betamax was history. LaserDisc. LaserDisc, with its gigantic appearance like vinyl records, was born with the promise of delivering sharp video quality, far surpassing all home entertainment formats of its time. It was truly ahead of its time technologically. However, reality proved LaserDisc too bulky and inconvenient. The players were extremely expensive, and the giant discs themselves could not store an entire movie without the viewer having to get up and flip the disc halfway through. Imagine watching a dramatic movie scene, and suddenly you have to pause to flip the disc. This killed the user's entertainment experience. Although avid movie lovers cinephiles adored the excellent image quality LaserDisc offered, its large size and high cost turned it into a niche item, never able to reach the masses. Retailers struggled to sell them, and parents didn't want another giant machine cluttering up their living rooms. Do you still keep any items from the 60s or 70s? Tell me about that item or any other product you were once excited to own but ultimately disappointed with. Apple Newton. The Newton was envisioned as an active personal assistant, helping users capture, organize, and communicate their ideas and information. It was a pioneering product in this category, the first device to integrate handwriting recognition. This idea was truly groundbreaking at the time. Users could write notes with a stylus, and the device would translate them into digital text. Apple promised that the Newton was as powerful as a computer, but as simple as a piece of paper. In reality, the Newton's handwriting recognition feature performed poorly, often misreading almost everything. Even simple shopping lists looked like ancient code. This, coupled with its high price, bulky size, and limited battery life by modern standards, created many barriers for the Newton to reach a broad market. Although praised by tech enthusiasts, the Newton was ridiculed in popular culture. Even The Simpsons animated series mocked its poor handwriting recognition capabilities. Segway. When the Segway launched, it was hyped as a product that would replace walking and redesign entire cities. Its inventors seriously claimed that everyone would glide into the future with ease and convenience. The promise of a revolution in personal mobility captivated the world. But the Segway was too expensive, too quirky, and made users look ridiculous. It only found a niche market with mall cops and tourists. Ultimately, the Segway became a solution looking for a problem, and most people decided that walking was still the best option. The Segway's failure was not in its function, but in its image. Ordinary people didn't want to move on sidewalks looking like a sci-fi traffic cone. The fall of the Segway showed that public perception can be as important as engineering and product design. Dvorak Keyboard. The Dvorak keyboard was designed with the ambition to revolutionize how we type, rearranging keys to deliver significantly greater efficiency and typing speed compared to the traditional QWERTY keyboard. The theory behind Dvorak was sound: minimize finger movement and enhance typing comfort. However, reality proved an insurmountable barrier. Having to retrain one's brain to use an entirely new key layout was no easy challenge, especially when every public computer and almost every personal computer still used the familiar QWERTY layout. Users quickly gave up due to this inconvenience. The Dvorak keyboard revolution died in its infancy. To this day, it is only used by a very small minority of professional typists. It never achieved market dominance. The lack of mainstream typing tutorials, the failure of schools to teach it, and office workers' unwillingness to relearn how to do their jobs contributed to this failure. Microsoft Zune. When Apple dominated the market with the iPod, Microsoft declared, "We can do that too." In 2006, Microsoft launched the Zune with the promise of becoming a formidable competitor, even an iPod killer. The Zune had some interesting features, such as the ability to wirelessly share songs with other Zune users. Its design was also praised by some critics and early users as clean and intuitive. However, the Zune faced an uphill battle. Its design was considered bulky. The marketing strategy was weak, and most importantly, by the time the Zune launched, Apple had completely captured the portable music player market, and the iPod had become a cultural icon. The song-sharing feature sounded good, but it only worked if the friend you wanted to share with also had a Zune, which almost no one did. Although some Zune fans still defend it, arguing it had better sound quality or a more robust interface, in a world where everyone was already tied to iTunes, the Zune was like an outsider trying to crash a party without knowing the password. DeLorean. Thanks to the classic film Back to the Future, the DeLorean became a legend. With its stainless steel body and unique gull-wing doors, it looked incredibly futuristic and cool. The car was born with the expectation of changing how we perceive automobiles, a symbol of ambition and imagination. But reality didn't allow it. The DeLorean was a nightmare for owners. Although the gull-wing doors were cool, they were prone to getting stuck. The engine was weak, and the build quality was, let's just say, Doc Brown had much better luck with time travel than car owners did with repairs. Production was stalled for various reasons, such as delays, cost overruns, and quality control issues. The stainless steel body looked sharp but was expensive and difficult to maintain. Despite its futuristic appearance, it drove like a brick. Despite everything, the DeLorean remains a cultural icon. It's proof that sometimes being cool is all it takes to make history. Car enthusiasts and movie fans alike can't help but admire the DeLorean. Not for what it was, but for what it symbolized. Ambition, imagination, and a touch of 1980s magic. Among the products mentioned, did any bring back a happy or sad memory for you? Share your thoughts in the comments below. 8-track tape. The 8-track tape was once hailed as the future of music, a revolution promising unprecedented convenience. Just pop the tape in the player, no rewinding needed, and you could enjoy your favorite music. This format was too bulky, prone to jamming, and worst of all, it often automatically switched tracks mid-song, ruining the mood of a favorite tune. Nothing kills the vibe faster than Led Zeppelin's Stairway to Heaven being cut off. Cassette tapes quickly emerged and prevailed with their compact size, recording capability, and most importantly, no song interruptions. At the time, car manufacturers and music companies bet big on 8-track tapes, but consumers quickly grew tired of this cumbersome format. By the early 80s, they were phased out faster than disco. Today, collectors still seek out vintage 8-track players, not because they work well, but because they represent a very specific moment in American music history, when the promise exceeded practicality. The failure of 8-track tapes paved the way for more compact and user-friendly innovations. Theranos' Edison machines. Elizabeth Holmes founded Theranos in 2003, claiming that her device, a compact machine called Edison, could perform comprehensive blood tests with just a single drop of blood from a finger. Her charisma and conviction attracted over $700 million in investments, earning praise from the media, politicians, and prominent supporters. She promised that her Edison machines could perform fast, inexpensive blood tests with extremely small blood samples. Behind the polished brand and bold promises, the technology, of course, failed to meet expectations. Edison's results were inconsistent and did not achieve the accuracy Theranos promoted. The company lacked peer-reviewed data and operated with an unusual degree of secrecy. A whistleblower revealed that the company had to rely on third-party machines while still promoting its own machines as fully operational. The carefully constructed image began to crumble. What was once hailed as a revolutionary breakthrough ultimately became one of the most scrutinized failures in modern tech history. Uber self-driving cars. The dream of self-driving cars was elegantly depicted and fully equipped with sensors, allowing passengers to relax and watch movies while the car drove itself. In 2015, Uber launched its self-driving car program, equipping test vehicles with LiDAR, radar, and more cameras than a television studio. The future seemed very close, until a pivotal incident in 2018 completely changed the conversation. During a late-night test drive in Arizona, one of Uber's vehicles struck a pedestrian while in autonomous mode. The car failed to react in time, and the safety operator in the car was later determined to have been distracted. This incident marked a troubling milestone for the entire industry. Subsequent investigations revealed a series of flaws. Critical emergency systems had been disabled to ensure smoother driving, and the software struggled to classify unpredictable movements. This raised questions that went beyond a single moment, about responsibility, readiness, and the limits of automation. Public trust in self-driving cars was shaken. Google Glass, no tech product launched in 2013, captured more attention than Google Glass. The voice-activated smart glasses with a discrete forward-facing camera. Touted as the future you'd wear on your face, it promised hands-free access to maps, messages, photos, and videos. At $1,500, it was a dandy and innovative device, promising to bring technology closer to people than ever before. But this sleek idea quickly met real-world resistance. Critics pointed out its unusual appearance, limited functionality, and the privacy concerns it generated. Growing worries about being recorded without consent led public places to restrict its use. Legislators also began to weigh in on the issue. Furthermore, the product failed to impress most users, many of whom called it more of a nuisance than a utility. Technical limitations further fueled skepticism. Short battery life, an interface that needed improvement, and most consumers struggled to find a compelling reason to wear this device in their daily lives. Apple Maps. Apple once introduced its own mapping application, replacing Google Maps on the iPhone, with the promise of beautiful maps and a new standard for navigation. However, instead of setting a new standard, the launch quickly ran into a series of problems. Place names were misspelled. Towns with the same name were confused with each other. Businesses appeared in outdated or incorrect locations. In some cases, directions led users to the wrong destination, or eliminated roads altogether. In Australia, travelers got lost in a remote national park due to misdirection. In Ireland, an active farm being labeled as an airport caused concern from government officials. Amid increasing public criticism, Apple CEO Tim Cook issued a formal apology and encouraged users to explore alternatives like Bing or Waze. Engineers quickly worked to fix over 2 million data errors. Although Apple Maps has evolved into a much more capable service, its initial missteps remain a valuable case study. Have you ever experienced similar disappointment with any product on this list? Share your story in the comments. Apple III. In 1980, Apple unveiled the Apple III, a risky attempt to enter the business computer market after the success of the Apple II. The promise was a sleek device that would take Apple further into the business realm. Following Steve Jobs' vision of minimalist hardware, the Apple III was launched without an integrated fan. Unfortunately, this design proved impractical. Overheating caused chips to become loose from their sockets, and some users were even instructed to manually reseat components by shaking the machine. Problems weren't limited to hardware. Software support was slow, and its compatibility with Apple II programs, once a selling point, was inconsistent. Businesses remained unconvinced, and critics publicly voiced their concerns. Apple tried to course-correct with the Apple III Plus, but the damage was done. By 1984, the product line was discontinued. IBM PCjr. No one expected a tech giant like IBM to stumble so badly. But in 1984, the company launched the PCjr with the hope of bringing computers into American family living rooms. Advertised as a family-friendly solution for gaming, learning, and productivity, it seemed well-positioned for success. However, several initial missteps slowed its momentum. The original price was too high for home users, and the system's software compatibility was limited, working best within IBM's ecosystem. Then there was the keyboard, a compact design with small, uncomfortable rubber keys. Negative feedback was so widespread that IBM had to offer a redesigned version for free. By March 1985, the company officially discontinued the product. The PCjr had potential, it supported many programs, but the timing, design choices, and market fit failed to resonate. Home users hesitated, gamers sought more immersive options, and business customers looked elsewhere. Philips CDI. In the early 1990s, Philips launched the CDI, a futuristic multimedia console designed to merge gaming, education, music, and movies into a single disc-based system. The promise was an ultimate entertainment experience, combining everything into one device. Ambitious in scope, the CDI carried high expectations. However, its market performance told a different story. With a high price point and a less intuitive user experience compared to its competitors, the system faced barriers from the start. The controller design was criticized, and loading times were often slower than other platforms of its era. While the CDI's game library aimed to push boundaries, some licensed titles, most notably those based on the Zelda franchise, were met with bewilderment by fans and critics alike. Up against powerhouses like the Super Nintendo and Sega Genesis, the CDI struggled to attract a dedicated gaming audience. Philips eventually discontinued the platform after limited adoption, and the CDI is now a notable chapter in gaming history. Google+. Not every tech platform ends with big headlines. Some simply fade away, leaving quiet lessons. That was the trajectory Google+ followed. Launched in 2011 as Google's fourth attempt to build a social network, the platform introduced Circles, a structured system for organizing contacts, friends, colleagues, gym acquaintances, and more. Google+ promised a different approach to staying connected by allowing users to group friends, photos, and communities into circles. While the design promised enhanced control and privacy, the overall experience lacked simplicity and emotional connection. It carried some of the complexity of earlier projects like Google Wave, but without a standout feature to capture user interest. Engagement remained modest, and many users struggled to find a sustained reason to return. In 2018, a privacy issue exposed user data from hundreds of thousands of accounts. Although Google handled it promptly, concerns lingered. A second data exposure incident occurred months later, leading to the decision to gradually phase out the platform. Amazon Fire Phone. After redefining e-readers and capturing tablet market share, Amazon set its sights on the smartphone market with a bold new product, the Fire Phone. Launched in mid-2014 as an AT&T exclusive, it packed standout features: dynamic perspective, a motion-based 3D interface, and Firefly, a tool that could identify songs, barcodes, and products for instant Amazon purchases. The vision was ambitious and futuristic. However, despite its technical appeal, consumer response was lukewarm. Initially launched at $199 with a contract, the device dropped to 99 cents within weeks. Less than a year later, it was quietly removed from both physical shelves and Amazon's online store. Critics noted challenges with the user interface, a limited app ecosystem, and the lack of Google Play services. Its exclusivity to a single carrier further limited adoption. Ultimately, Amazon recorded a $170 million loss and was left with a large quantity of unsold inventory. BlackBerry Phones? Tech history includes many companies that helped define an era, and BlackBerry stands among them. For years, its phones, with physical keyboards and secure email systems, set the standard for mobile communication among business professionals. BlackBerry became a reliable companion in boardrooms globally. The promise was a durable, useful, and highly productive phone. But the mobile landscape began to shift in 2010. The launch of the iPhone 4 with its sleek touchscreen and vast app ecosystem signaled a new direction for smartphones. While competitors quickly adapted, BlackBerry remained focused on its traditional strengths. BlackBerry 10 launched as a modern operating system, but market momentum had shifted elsewhere. Developers were reluctant to support the platform, and adoption remained low. In response, the company introduced Android-based models like the Priv, an attempt to regain traction. Microsoft Bob. Microsoft once introduced Bob, a creative effort to make personal computers more accessible by modeling the desktop interface as a virtual home, complete with themed rooms and animated guides like the Dog Rover. The promise was a user-friendly experience for the Windows operating system, incredibly simple. The goal was to help new users become familiar with computers through visual metaphors and friendly characters. But while the concept aimed to simplify technology, its implementation faced many challenges. The interface was resource-intensive and, for many, too quirky to suit real-world productivity needs. Despite heavy marketing, Microsoft reportedly sold only about 58,000 copies, far fewer than the millions they had predicted. Reviews suggested the software's tone might have been too light for its target audience, and high hardware requirements made it inaccessible to many users at the time. Google Wave. In 2009, Google launched Wave, an ambitious platform aiming to combine email, chat, document editing, and social collaboration into a unified experience. At its core, Wave sought to reinvent online communication with real-time updates, shared threads, and dynamic typing that showed each character as it was entered. The promise was to help people get things done in groups. While innovative in theory, the platform required a steep learning curve. The interface was complex, and many of its tools often left casual users feeling overwhelmed. The real-time typing feature, though novel, made communication feel too exposed, and the platform's purpose wasn't always clear. Was it for developers, office teams, or collaborating students? After limited adoption and growing user confusion, Google announced in 2010 that it would cease active development. The project was later handed over to the Apache Software Foundation and rebranded as Apache Wave. Despite this second life, the platform failed to gain momentum and was officially discontinued. Google Wave was not lacking in vision. It introduced features that inspired later tools. But without a clear target audience or streamlined design, it ultimately became a case study in how complexity can hinder even the most pioneering ideas. Apple Pippin. Does anyone remember when Apple tried to break into the gaming market and ended up with a $599 brick? The Apple Pippin, launched in 1996, was the result of a collaboration between Apple and Bandai, an ambitious effort to merge personal computing with home gaming consoles. In theory, it promised a lot: a CD-ROM-based device with multimedia functions, internet connectivity, and educational potential. It was advertised as a new approach to home computing, with the TV as the preferred viewing device. In reality, the Pippin struggled to find its audience. At $599, it lacked the advanced graphics and audio capabilities that gamers expected from rivals like PlayStation and Nintendo 64. When it launched in the US, it had only a small library of 18 titles, and its web browsing features were largely impractical in an era where most households lacked sufficient high-speed internet for online gaming. Sales reflected those challenges. Around 30,000 units were sold in Japan, while only about 12,000 made it to American homes. By 1997, Apple had quietly terminated the program, and the Pippin gradually vanished from shelves and memory. Juicero Press. Silicon Valley once poured $120 million into a startup with a bold vision for a juice press. In 2016, Juicero introduced a Wi-Fi connected machine designed to press juice from proprietary produce packs. The company touted its cold press technology as a nutritional breakthrough. Priced at $699, it was positioned as the Tesla of juice presses, even though its functionality required both an internet connection and a dedicated app. The expectation was to deliver the best juice ever. After slow sales, the price dropped to $399. But a Bloomberg video completely changed the narrative. A reporter demonstrated that the juice packs could be squeezed by hand, without the machine, app, or Wi-Fi. The story quickly went viral online. Consumers and analysts questioned whether the added technology was worth the cost. Not long after, Juicero was forced to cease operations and issue refunds. Blockbuster Total Access. Blockbuster's last major effort to reinvent itself came in blue envelopes and strategic hope. In 2006, as Netflix's DVD by mail rental service was thriving, Blockbuster launched Total Access, a program that combined both home delivery and in-store exchanges. The offer was enticing: rent online, then visit a local store for an immediate swap. Initially, the program received strong adoption. Millions of users signed up, attracted by the convenience and flexibility. However, challenges soon emerged. Many independent franchise stores refused to participate, leading to inconsistent service and customer frustration nationwide. Dissatisfaction even spilled into the courts when a large franchisee sued Blockbuster, alleging the program violated contract terms. Further complications arose when Netflix filed a patent infringement lawsuit, claiming Blockbuster's model was too similar to their system. Maintaining both infrastructures, digital and physical, placed immense pressure on Blockbuster's finances. Next Computer. Why did one of the most advanced computers of its time fade into the shadows of tech history? The Next Cube, launched in 1988 by Next Inc., founded by Steve Jobs, arrived with groundbreaking features for its era: an optical drive, advanced signal processing, and an object-oriented, future-forward operating system. It was said to be the greatest innovation in these machines, with capabilities comparable to a mainframe. Tailored for academic institutions and research environments, it offered serious computing power and a clean, modern design. But while the technology was forward-looking, its price put it out of reach for most mainstream consumers. Combined with a monochrome-only display and limited compatibility with popular software, the Next Cube found itself serving a very specific audience. Demand was low outside of educational, financial, and government organizations. Despite modest adoption in the broader market, the Next Cube left a lasting legacy. In 1990, it became the machine used by Tim Berners-Lee at CERN to create both the first web browser and the first web server, literally laying the groundwork for the World Wide Web. HP TouchPad. Every tech launch dreams of making a grand entrance, but the HP TouchPad barely made it past the opening bell. The product launch event was an ambitious effort by Hewlett-Packard to enter the tablet market. The TouchPad was built to compete directly with Apple's iPad, a tough challenge in a rapidly evolving space. HP promised to bring all your data closer. The hardware offered a clean design and ran on WebOS, known for its card-based multitasking and intuitive interface. However, performance issues emerged early, with users noting slow loading times and limited app selection in its dedicated store. While the interface was promising, the broader ecosystem failed to keep pace with user expectations. After just 49 days on the market, HP made the decision to discontinue production. If this trip down memory lane brought a smile to your face or stirred up memories, hit the like button, share, and subscribe to Back to Yesterday to look forward to our next video reliving beautiful memories. Thanks for watching until the very end. See you on our next journeys.